Hey there, thanks for sticking around. Stanley Greyheart Barker back with Peter Counterfeit Hartnell to bring you the final game for these two teams in the regular season before we hit the playoffs next week. How excited are you, Counterfeit?
I'm excited to see the promise of UConn come to full fruition here. I mean, yeah, we saw against the Pirates, in the first game, we saw these moments of brilliance there. I think this is a team for UConn, that are going to have a strong future if they keep things up. But against the Bulldogs here, again, it's a big ask for them to get a win, but I'm sure they're going to give us everything that they have.
Well, that's the case. We saw Seton Hall doing exactly that in the last game where they did pick up the win against this very University of Connecticut team. That was their last game because their final match was a walkover. So they were able to go out on a high. Only one of these two teams out of University of Connecticut and Butler University will be able to go out on that high. Let's hope that the two of them put on a great match for us. Butler have a huge amount riding on it. They know that a victory here will secure their playoff berth.
Yeah, I mean, for the Bulldogs, are fighting to be part of that top four. They've had their victory against the Wildcats earlier on this evening. Unfortunately for the Wildcats, they didn't quite manage to break away from their history of being dominated in games. Particularly for the Bulldogs, Levi, who has had some standout performances previous in the season, made another standout performance on the Oriana, getting more kills than the rest of the Bulldogs combined.
Butler being a mid laner who also we see with a certain amount of flex potential, roaming to other lanes and causing all sorts of havoc for everybody on the map. If there's someone who gets going, as so many times they have this season, will definitely be bad news bears. But over on the other side, as I see that Butler Levi having played that Aurelia, it makes me think back to the Aurelia we saw in the last game. And it was a real step up from the mid laner for UConn for Hydra, as actually they found themselves a couple of solo kills and were really one of the points of strength for their team.
Yeah, I mean that's what made us believe in UConn. It's just actually doing very very well in the lanes. The thing which I think which was the disappointment for UConn is what they weren't able to build on this extremely strong early success. I mean, we had the ganks coming in, and they were very very good ganks from Son of One in the early going. As mentioned, Hydra getting the solo kills, Joey Noob's doing well up in the top lane as well, but it just kind of all fell apart, especially around this bottom lane. I think Amarex and Super Slayer, they just weren't safe enough to avoid getting rolled.
Over on Twitch chat, I can already see the support that loves coming in, especially for Butler, especially for Levi. Gotta love the wackiness coming from UConn.
I do. I'm here for this UConn. This is a UConn unveiling their true form coming into this final game. They're saying, okay, playing standard League of Legends just didn't work before, so now we're going to bring out all the weirdest stuff in the world. I'm fully prepared to see a surprise win here over Butler because I don't think that UConn wins standard League of Legends on their best day anyway. So why not? Why not try for something weird and, throw everything to the win?
Well, it's probably not a massive shock to you, but Thor is here alongside me, and he currently has about as many useful things to say about the UConn comp as I do. Good job, Thor. Good job, my friend. Yeah, no, it's a strange one. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I see these things work. Other times they flop massively. My all-time favorite professional game that I saw with this sort of wackiness is going all the way back to roundabout, I want to say season 4, season 5, and it was an end of season game towards who was going through to playoffs, and it was Moscow 5, I think they were known as Gambit at the time, going up against Evil Geniuses, and Crepo and Froggen lane swapped, and we got to see the I think it ended up being Blitzcrank from Froggen and a Nivea being played by Crepo, and still one of the most magical games of League I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, that sounds fantastic. The one this draws to mind for me is, and I can't even remember the teams involved now, but I think you can probably find it on YouTube, a game where a team brought Heimerdinger into the game, into professional play, and they just followed Heimerdinger around as a team and just pushed every lane in about 5 seconds because they just had all of them there. The other team just didn't know what to do for the entire game, and so they just lost because it wasn't standard League of Legends, just like this.
I'm not sure if it was the exact same game you're talking about, but I remember a similar situation happening. I think it was H2K with Hjarnan as the ADC playing it, and took it in the ADC role, got it fed in the bot lane early on, and then just took it all around the map and completely dominated. Back in time when people just weren't used to having that Heimer being flexed. Certainly one of those champions that can provide a lot of fun. And you were talking about your AD Malzahar earlier, Campbell. So I'm interested. Do you have any other pocket picks, any other niche little things, a bit like what we're seeing out of UConn, that you'd like to share with us?
Oh boy! I mean, as much as I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't go quite as far as seeing the Zed in the jungle. It's totally a thing, guys. You should try it at home.
I honestly don't know. I mean, right now, the ADC of the team is Horror in the Xin Zhao. I mean, we might be seeing Nico jungle at this point, unless there's some kind of role swap. So I don't know until I see what's on the Rift, frankly. You may still get to see it.
Well, to be fair, let's give UConn the benefit of the doubt here. Let's go deep on what they can get working in this bottom lane. So
Okay.
they've got Xin Zhao. If we assume that everyone's playing the position they're supposed to be, which we don't know for certain, but
I can't believe it.
But we'll assume, because I presume that Hope has gone across to.
Oh, sorry. Let me bring Thor back for you. Oh, there you go.
Oh no, never mind. All right, we'll have to wait to the post game for doggy delightfulness.
All right, so here's what we're seeing. Almerix is going to be jungling instead of Son of One. Son of One is going to be playing Nico. We're expecting this to go into the bot lane alongside Super Slayer Swain. So bit of an interesting one. Does make a lot more sense. Hydra's still going to be running the mid lane Zed.
So if we could ask our observer to swap Son of One and Almerex on the scoreboard just by clicking and dragging them up and down, that will give us our matchups. But okay, this is a little less crazy than I thought it was going to be. At least we have got the range. I mean, Almerex, I fully expect to see them do some pretty impressive stuff here on the Xin Zhao, but they are up against.
There we go. Yes, that's the one.
But I mean,
heroic.
Almerex is up against MGL, as you mentioned. They are a Olaf main. So this is going to be still a very, very strong game, as I think we will need to have ourselves a switcheroo on the team names. We'll get this sorted out in a minute. So Butler playing in the blue, UConn over on the red.
I'd just like to say we've got a fantastic new production in today, and they're coming onto a game that they're not quite as used to. And we're very, very grateful to have them here. Just ironing out a few little creases along the way, but nonetheless, we're still able to bring you all the high quality action, like a Son of One playing Nico ADC.
Yes! I mean, it's what we're here for on the last day of the season. It's like the last day of school for a lot of these teams. you have these really important games. This is why they bring out, their big picks, their main picks. We've got that clash of styles here. For Butler, this is a very important game. For UConn, this is not a very important game. It's only a chance for them to have some fun, to blow off some steam after an unfortunately not successful season overall. But they can still have good memories to take home afterwards.
If I could ask the magnificent Bolter if they could press the X button at some point to swap the gold over to items. Thank you so much. We can see that it is going to be at least an AP start for the Nico, opting into the Doran's ring over the Doran's blade. So I'm expecting to see some extra AP coming out of the Nico. We of course have Zed in the mid lane, who's opted into the longsword to start things off.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for what Levi and Hydra do. As we saw from Hydra, they really exceeded expectations in their previous game. So hopefully they'll be able to do the same here. Certainly, the Seraphine is not the most robust of mid lane picks, so there's a decent chance we could actually see Hydra pop off here, and that would be a great way to end the season for them.
My apologies, I was just muted for a moment. Son of One taking the worst of his praise. Butler Mojo Romo is going to look for the crash down as you wanted hope. Well, you got a little bit of hope in the background there.
Now the crowd is rambunctious for this match. With good reason. I mean, MGL on their main Olaf, a Super Slayer on one of their mains, the Swain down the bottom side, with the Nico together. I think, given the amount of crowd control we've got down this bottom side, I actually kind of favor UConn here on the red side, because as we're seeing, they can lock down a target. You might eat my words immediately.
You might favor them, but First Blood is going to go over to Butler, and it's going to be Lundstorm who profits from the big crash down from Mojo Romo. Definitely not the start UConn were hoping for. Meanwhile, up on the top side, Almerex looking to make some kind of play happen, potentially towards Mac, but he's going to have to settle for a Scuttle Crab instead.
Oh my god. Okay, well this is not great news. I mean, nearly 1,000 ahead for the Bulldogs in blue on this one. They've got a massive CS advantage down in the bottom side. And we can see there just the nearly 700 or 650 gold there for Lundstorm, who has been a major carry for the Butlers before.
Almerex coming up to the top side again, will walk over Vision. Max staying safe enough. Nice to see the Xin Zhao being played here in a competitive game. It's one of the champs on the most recent patch that benefited from a rather large buff, the opportunity to see Xin Zhao become relevant as a top tier jungler once again. We'll see where those audacious charges start to come into the lanes sometime soon.
Yes, and I know that some of the folks were a little confused about those changes to Xin Zhao, opening up a few more AP itemization routes. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case here for Almerex. They're sticking to more standard fare rather than anything crazy out of their build part.
It makes sense, and it also makes sense when you look at the other damage dealers that are here on this UConn team. You're going to have the AP top side and on the sort of standard ADC role. You've got Zed that's doing damage in mid, which is going to be almost entirely purely AD. We expect to see the Assassin build coming through. Swain's also going to bring a good amount of AP, so I don't think you'd want to opt into a fourth AP this time round, though I am looking forward to seeing how those changes affect games of ranked sometime soon.
Absolutely, and that's the place for them, Greyheart. Get it into ranked, make sure that you try everything out from there. Look out for the...
that sounds like terrible advice.
I mean, that's the best kind of advice. Advice that provides entertaining situations. You got to bear in mind, Greyheart, when you're taking advice from someone, it's all about trying to figure out what are they motivated to get out of it. So when we give advice to say some of these teams and say you should play Zed jungle, we're not necessarily doing it with purely their best interest at heart.
Valid points put out and one well taken. Xin Zhao is currently taking away the first dragon of the game. Something Xin Zhao is excellent at doing, can just pop it so insanely quickly. Up on the top side, Joey Noobs on this cannon, taking a decent amount of harassment from the Gnar. Speaking in the last game about how it had been nerfed somewhat, but that doesn't seem to matter too much to Mac right now.
So as the early dragon gets picked up, just to catch you guys up a little bit on Xin Zhao changes. One of the big ones being that if the wind becomes lightning, is able to tag someone, they will become challenged. And then follow-up audacious charges will be able to then charge onto them from a much longer distance. So keep your eyes out for Almerex. They should be able to chase down targets with impunity. I think going for early objectives is a good way to make sure that the opposition will put themselves into a position to be chased.
big aggression from Max and Nara. They went mega, looked for the aggression onto Joey Noobs, who just dashed straight out to safety. Level 6 available on both of those top laners right now. Meanwhile, Mojo Romo dashing forward, getting the stun straight down on Son of One, who has to flash away but gets the damage straight back onto the round. And she's discounted. Super Slay gets the kill. Caitlyn, however, turns it around, makes it a 1-for-1. Will get tagged by the Never Move. However, crucially, kill goes over to Super Slayer as support, but the kill for Butler is on Lundstorm.
Yeah, and the storm is brewing, but Almrex is here.
Well, we're going to see that interaction that you were talking about. The W tag is not going to connect. The audacious charge goes forward. Lundstorm is forced to flash away. Almrex continuing the chase down, but not going to be able to catch on to Caitlyn this time. Meanwhile, Mac and Noobs just completely trading even in the top side.
So yeah, sadly, no follow-up there. Amrex burning their flash to try and make that play. They did manage to strip away Lundstorm as well, making them a little bit more vulnerable. The mid lane has so far actually been pretty Hydra favored. There are some minions there to pick up. No kills, but we've got MGL on the Olaf. They're going right in for the play.
Noob's completely caught out by the Gnar into the wall. The Ragnarocking MGL comes in. He doesn't even have to burn the ultimate. Takes a couple of turret shots and picks up the kill. MGL will also get some turret plating for their trouble. There's a 20 CS advantage in that lane you were just talking about, with Hydra looking good on the Z. But the problem is playing against this Seraphine, that the kill threat, which is the important thing come level 6 for Hydra, just doesn't seem to be there.
No, I mean, even with Levi on very low health right now, they're managing to keep themselves up and relatively safe. I mean, now they're officially completely out of mana. Hydra has got the Ignite advantage over Levi, so if we could see Almrex sneak in here and they are close by, maybe we get the play and the kill.
We've got 1,000 gold lead over to Butler through the early part of this game as we approach 9 minutes. As you can see on the bottom half of your screen, a lot of that gold funneled into the Caitlyn already, picking up first blood and a second kill down on the bottom half of the map has led this Caitlyn having such early game pressure, which makes things very tough for Son of One, playing out of position as the Nico AD, well, APC I guess we should call it.
Yes, absolutely. But we are seeing some pretty heavy pushes on both top and bottom towers from the different teams here. The Butler, the Yukon actually managing to make up some of that gold difference as Butler Mac is now down the bottom side. The lane swap up to the top for Butler means they can bring a lot of that strength up to try and force down the first tower.
And also, I really like this from Butler because there's only one objective in terms of neutral objectives on the map right now, and that's the Herald. So they have first prio, having more members up available to do that. Already 4 turret plates taken away as Lundstorm finds yet more gold in the pocket of this early game Caitlyn. Mac goes aggressive, finding a wall up on the back of the Gnar, but does get pulled out by the Never Move. We see the Pop Blossom come through, and the kill is there. The 2v1 going well in favor of Yukon.
All right, this is what we're here for. Toot toot, we're back on the hype train, and once again, I knew it! This is what it took. This is what it took. Yukon, they had the moments of brilliance before. All they needed to do was to put on their fanciest dress-ups here to bring out the picks they've been harboring all season long. And suddenly, we have ourselves a game in our hands.
And we've got an interesting situation as the Herald is picked up in trade for that kill that Yukon were able to find. Butler will have that objective. As you can see, only 1 turret plate remaining on the top side of the map, 2 turret plates still down the bottom side. If this comes down to any kind of race, you would have to put your money right now onto Lundstorm and Mojiromo, and it seems like it's a race they're keen to win soon.
Yeah, I mean, we're not even seeing any attempt from Yukon to try and defend this tower, so that's a whole bunch of tower plating into the pockets of Lundstorm, and the first tower guard you'll see, that's a massive amount of gold coming in, so we should be expecting to see the first item completion coming in, and the corresponding tower spike.
I'm expecting to see a bit of pressure put towards this second dragon very, very shortly by Yukon. However, they got the first dragon secured. Now they have the opportunity for the second. But right now, Hydra and Almrex are all about trying to catch on to Mac the Gnar, skipping themselves away, throwing out the boomerang. Hydra still stepping forward, still trying to catch out with the shurikens. Good damage put down onto Mac, but they're under the safety of their own turret. Dragon spawning in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the numbers down here for Yukon, so this will be the second Drake locked in, giving themselves a fairly solid path towards whatever the soul ends up being.
This seems the kite. This This is going to be very, very tight. There is vision here that's come through for Butler, and they're able to take the fight. Big Seraphine ultimate. Pop Blossom comes down, but already with the MGL stealing the Dragon away. Equalize the Dragon Sword. Now the fight breaks out on the backside. Ace in the hole is thrown out, and he's going to connect onto Zed, which makes it 1-for-1 in hell. And the quick turnaround as Gnar is deleted from the map. Suddenly, the slight favor on the back of this Lost Dragon does still go over to Yukon.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, not ideal to have it stolen away, but there's not too much you can do. We've got the play still going on, though.
But the Levi might be in a bit of trouble, but not as much trouble as Sue. There is not as much trouble as Almorex is. Double kill for Lundstorm and Caitlyn. Now, I believe, at 5 kills in an absolute dominant position in this match.
And to be fair, I don't think that Yukon realised that was going to be a possibility there. I mean, yeah, just, very early pickup on the stopwatch there, paying off immediately. So, Butler, they are still ahead right now. They've got that first tower, they've got themselves a stun on Drake. What I was going to mention before was MGL came into that Drake pit with the Ragnarok active, and there just isn't much you can do while the Olaf is completely immune to CC.
I think coming into that fight, the timing of 2 items was utterly crucial. Hydra recalled on the back of that fight and completed the Eclipse. If that had been there beforehand, it could have been a game changer. On the other side, we saw Gale Force already completed the Caitlyn. It was actually only an assist with the ace in the hole, but it led to a double kill down the road. 4 kills now in the bank for Lundstorm, who had already hit that insane spike just before that big fight. And now, even before 14 minutes, we're seeing the Herald put down and yet more turret plating. This is going to go over to MGL and Levi. Big gold advantage now to Yukon, who find themselves 3k.
Oh my gosh, that's nearly 2 towers worth of plating locked down by Butler. They're just doing so much to build on this gold. You can see there, we're about 1,500 separated between the 2 AD carries. In the mid lane is pretty even. But oh wait a second, Hydra's making the play.
Hydra, the one player on Yukon who does have a gold lead over their lane opposition, trying to make it pay as they try to slap back around with the wallet, but it doesn't work because Gnar is so tanky even in mini form.
Alright, but yeah, I mean, Hydra at least is presenting a threat here against Butler Mac. We saw when the trade, when the Electrocute Master is up for Hydra, they were able to cut through a lot of what Butler Mac has got early on because it's not being built defensively on the Gnar, especially if you're not in that Mega Gnar form.
Come nearer the late game fight. It's going to be utterly crucial whether or not Hydra is able to get onto Lundstorm, and there are so many defensive peel options for the Caitlyn. They've got the Seraphine with the charms available. They've got Mojo Romo on the Rel, who can just insta-stun anything between themselves and their ADC. You've got Mac who will hit Mega and have ultimate, just CC coming out of the wazoo. It's going to be so difficult for Hydra to find the play. But if they do kill off Lundstorm, so much of the gold lead for Butler is lost. And maybe, just maybe, Yukon can take a fight like that. We'll have to keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah, I mean, certainly unlike the previous game against the Pirates here, there's no Shen to run interference and stop Lundstorm from getting deleted. The Caitlyn as a whole does have the net, does have the traps to be able to keep herself safe, but she's nowhere near as safe as she would be if she had dedicated peel in there for her.
We're seeing some good Twitch chats coming through. Seaton Hall backers definitely out there cheering for Yukon, hoping they can pick up an unexpected victory and force that potential 3-way 12 and 6 tie, which would lead to all sorts of interesting tiebreaker implications, which I'm not even going to get started on because I don't honestly know the answer to who would go through in that situation, but I'm sure that's something that will be cleared up fairly shortly for everybody who's interested. Right now, however, they are being denied any kind of happiness as things are still looking pretty good for Butler as we approach 16 minutes.
And thank you to Seaton Hall for the "you can do it." Definitely going to use that one as we get back on the hype train once again. But to be fair though, Yukon, they are still pretty substantially behind at this point. Of course, as you mentioned, Lundstorm carrying those absolute packs of gold. They're moving pretty close to a second item as well. We're on the Cloud Rift. We'll be looking to see who can secure that. As we see the numbers there. Joey Noobs, we haven't seen a ton of them so far this game. They've been quietly working away. We're looking towards their team fight presence later on, which Yukon have got a pretty strong one on.
Dr. Atlantis Production Man. Thank you again for showing us the gold leads so regularly. It certainly helps out. If you could check our Discord chat. I'm not sure if you already saw the message which I popped in there, but might be something you're able to do about. Meanwhile, we do see the dragon once again coming under threat as it is about to spawn. Someone's going to get a decent bit of damage onto MDL, but actually I say decent bit of damage. That's next to nothing when you look at Iron Spike Olaf. And second dragon coming, this third dragon coming this way will be a second for either team. Let's see which of the two teams is able to get the pressure onto it.
Killing spree.
Okay, we'll be back with the action in just a second. A little unfortunate. So, what do we get? Oh, Amorex got taken out in the intervening. So
That means that's
yeah, the Drake is just gone. That is very unfortunate. You see Hydra there was hungry for the kill. They're actually going to try and sneak something in there, but they don't get it anyway. I think,
if a Shuriken takes that one while your jungler has smite, you ask some big questions. You pop the old question mark pings in chat. Root's going to catch on Super Slayer, forced to go into Demonic Offensive, just trying to stay alive. Mojo Roma goes with the dive, but it's going to be Super Slayer going golden, flashing away from last bit of damage from Levi, getting themselves out by the skin of their team.
the ace in the hole will just about not finish the job. So Super Slayer, I think, glad to have picked up those kills and assists from early on to press themselves up. I mean, we saw before the stopwatch did amazing stuff for Levi when the tower dive came through, working similarly for Super Slayer. Such an incredible effect to be able to cut these plays in half. When Butler are going so aggressively to try and make these picks, you need items like that to make sure you don't go into these fights with an understrength team.
They force aggressively onto the Herald as well, picking up their second consecutive Herald in this game. More damage able to go down onto the turrets. Of course, all of the outer turrets already removed by Butler. I take that back. Both top and bottom lane outer turrets removed, so maybe this will be the mid lane pressure they need coming through the Herald.
So one of the things I'm looking for going into, coming up to the 20-minute mark is Hydra. It's got the one kill, one death so far. We just don't have that many kills in the game overall. And given where we are right now, I'd love to see you kind of try and pull off shenanigans themselves a lot more, rather than trying to just play reactively to what Butler have been doing.
Yep, Yukon shenanigans are something I can certainly talk about, and I will apologise to you if you've already talked about this and it went over my head counterfeit. But looking towards the Nico build, starting with the Doran's Ring, picking up an Amplifying Tome to follow it up, and then following that up with Berserker Greaves and a Kraken Slayer coming out of lane. So we've got ourselves a full-on AD Nico here.
Yeah, I mean, it works pretty darn well. But right now, we've got the push in from Butler. They've got that second Herald you mentioned before. They're just bullying down this middle lane. I think they should be able to get a second charge through as well. Butler, they're trying to accelerate things, but Hydra is there on the flank.
I've tried to go aggressive, but the double control ward in the bush makes it so hard for them to find a flank. However, Noob finds flank with the Hextech Protonel. He's able to get some good damage down from the sliding bell from MGL, however, takes down the opposite jungler as Almerex is going to die. 2-2 so far, the jungler's doing huge work. Hydra on the backline doing what they can, but eventually getting shut down by the massive Gnar. Only Kennen is going to be able to try and defend this one now, which is really confusing. No, it's not Kennen. It's Nico. Lady Nico just completely bamboozling me, and Son of One will try to keep the inhibitor turret alive.
Yeah, to be fair, I think that bamboozle lasts a lot more than because of the log thing they just
They're
killed.
like, we already killed Kennen. You can't fool us this way.
No, it's one of the, if we're talking about bamboozles that Yukon can try and pull here, that was one of the less effective ones. Look, but the good news for Yukon is they did try and make a play themselves there. They managed to get around the flank and they managed to take out Senior Moneybags themselves, Lunstorm. The deletion factor from Hydra was enough. And Joey News following up as well. But, it's all good things. For Yukon, though, we saw this from the previous game. They would make good plays, but when you're this far behind, good plays just aren't good enough. You can't be playing anything that's remotely fair, because the game right now isn't fair. When we go towards these next objectives, everything being even. If we've got a 60-40 chance under normal circumstances, especially now we're getting second items coming in here for Bulldogs, those big power spikes, those items make a 60-40 into almost guarantee for the Bulldogs to win.
Joey Noob's getting in there with a cheeky little blue buff steal. Not something that massively benefits the Kennen, but definitely something that disadvantages the Seraphine. That was who lost out on it, with Levi having their pocket pinch there. Baron is now up and available. Another dragon will be spawning in less than a minute's time. This would be a third dragon for Butler if they secured it. It would be a second Cloud Dragon as well, so their cooldowns for their ultimates are just going lower and lower. Their potential to get that Cloud Soul, that's going up and up. Definitely things looking great for Butler as they look to secure their playoff berth, but UConn are not out of this game, and their slightly unusual draft, I feel like, is playing a part in why they're still so alive in the game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, for the Bulldogs, again, for anyone who's coming back in a little bit later on, there is so much to lose here in this game for Bulldogs. They have to be somewhat careful, just because they won't have the experience playing against this competition before. All the tricks like the Nico disguising herself as other champions can throw off your normally very organized planning. As we got the build up for the next Drake fight, TP coming in. This could be the chance for UConn to make their big play happen.
The flank, however, just to get rooted. Hydra finds Mac and just completely delete. No, something a big tank is missing. Luke is getting cut down by Lola, and the huge Seraphine ultimate and root leads to an absolute obliteration of UConn. Butler make it a 5-4-1. Take away their third dragon as well, and will probably be able to secure back. Exactly! Because it wasn't a 5-for-1! Hydra was alive all along! Hail Hydra!
Oh my god, you called it! It happened! Hydra comes through huge for the team, but we cannot deny Levi. That encore was absolutely disgusting, and Butler are the ones left standing after all is said and done. Hydra, I think it's too far away to try and steal another objective. Butler, they're going to have the Baron, they're going to be able to push through and make some taken inhibitors.
Wow, what an absolute turn of events that was. Both teams now having had one dragon stolen away from them, leaving us with 2 dragons apiece. Crucially, however, the most important thing that was available on the map, the big purple worm, the Baron buff. It goes over to Butler. They have a 6,000 gold lead. They will now be able to build on that further and most likely crack the important part of UConn's base.
We can see as well for Lundstorm, they are up above 10k on their person, with MGL almost breaking through that threshold as well. There's no one on UConn who's close to hitting those kind of numbers, with 300 gold or 1,500 gold injected directly into the team's gold reserves. Means that any push now is going to be incredibly hard to stand against.
I slightly more politely paraphrase one of my duo Q partners' words. Freaking Seraphine, man. I mean, what an incredible turnaround. One ultimate, and moments later, well, UConn were left without a hope. Almarex stealing blue buffs, that seems to be UConn's favourite trick at the moment, taking these away from Butler, and Levi yet again is left without the blue buff around.
Well, I mean, UConn coming into this game, they were going to have to try and steal the game at the best of times. This is not the best of times. This is the worst of times, Greatheart. This is the darkest timeline for UConn. They're going to need to use every trick in the boat. They're going to need to flip every coin they can lay their hands on. Standard League of Legends is not going to cut it here.
The best of times, the worst of times. So far, it's been a tale of 2 dragon steals, but one thing has been true in both of those stories, and that is that Butler have come out with the numbers advantage on the backs of both of them, finding themselves further and further gold leads. Crucially, during this Baron play, however, they've not been able to break anything much more significant than an outer turret.
That's true. Very good defense here from UConn to keep the wolves from the door. As I said, I was kind of expecting to see maybe a serious push in towards an inhibitor, but instead just tickled by the cannon minion. For now, we'll put UConn as they go for play.
The death mark immediately gnawed into the wall. Hydra having to flash away, still getting hit by the house flying through the air. Son of One gets charged and is going to be in a huge amount of trouble trying to get out on the Nico. Able to still put out some damage, but without having a huge amount of HP, the ability just not doing much. Joey Noobs killed during Slice of Maelstrom. The unstoppable Ragnarocking Golden Olaf will step forward. The turret will be taken down using the health bar as MGL as tribute. Almarex steps forward, tries to get the damage through, however, instead finds damage straight into their back. They just about survive. Long enough for an ace in the hole to be thrown and blocked by Son of One, and yet again is taken down below half health. Inhibitor falls on the Baron.
This is why we call MGL one of the most terrifying Olafs in the league. They know exactly where they can play. They can get themselves down to single digits health because they know every single moment where the right time to deploy all the extra heat in the Gore Drinker. You just can't get into a straight fight with Olaf because they know exactly where to go. For UConn, losing the inhibitor is bad news, but at least they're not in a position of having to definitely fight for this next dragon. That steal from Hydra was everything, and the Baron push, getting that one inhibitor, I think reasonably the best they could have hoped for.
I've seen a couple of comments in the Twitch chat asking about the decision to go Merc Treads from Hydra on this Zed here. I mean, I think I get it because I touched earlier on how much CC there is in the potential peel for Lundstorm. Mojo Roma with oodles of CC. We've seen what Levi can do with the roots, with the charms. Mac as well in Meganarth won't be able to do so much. So I like the Merc Treads for the increased resistances and the increased tenacity. One thing I'm not a massive fan of looking at these items is the Serpent's Fang as second item for Almarex. I'm not convinced that that's the way to get the most damage out of this champion.
Well, just to touch a little bit further on the Mercury Treads from before, I mean, this is one of the big escape cards for Butler. Lundstorm on the Caitlyn is these traps. If Hydra wants to get up close and personal with Lundstorm, they're going to have to get through a whole bunch of traps. And around objectives like this, Lundstorm has all the time in the world to make sure that if they are fighting, they are standing on a trap or very close to a trap while doing so.
We saw a couple of Dragons flips, but this one goes convincingly over to Butler. It will be their third of the game. Next time that comes around, should it happen before a Nexus falling, it would be for the Cloud Soul. Son of One Hydra stepping forward, securing themselves a turret, but now finding themselves in harm's way. Mac finding the stun on Son of One, who immediately forces out with the pop blossom. Doesn't even find any damage onto the Steel Horse Lady, as it is going to be a recall coming out of Hydra. Almarex and Super Slayer will have to go back to defend their base.
Oh my gosh, UConn, you're giving us one hell of a stronger show than I would have expected from this last game. But trading Son of One for the outer tower, I mean, given the fact that we're not actually seeing Butler manage to make too much progress off the back of this, it might ultimately work out to be okay for UConn.
Yeah, getting some of that standing go into the pockets, even if they had to pay something of a large price for it. And looking towards the gold leads, towards the CS numbers, undoubtedly Lundstorm is the player who has taken over this game, but now MGL up there as well with a 7-1 and 3 scoreline, yet again showing why they are so ridiculously impactful on this Olaf. The Olaf that has just been pulled into turret range, but he takes a turret shot and doesn't care at all, shrugs it off in his nice Olaf t-shirt, and yet again it's down to UConn to defend their base.
You can see some of the power that Butler can present around this tower here. They're able to reach out actually into UConn's base and hit some of their members across the wall with some pretty serious damage. But UConn, they hold the line once again. We have got Baron coming up once more. This time UConn are in a position to try and make their own play to go for the steal, but maybe not. It's going to be another fight.
Son of One throwing the clone out, he can discover Butler, but Butler just have too much damage, too much CC. Hydra escapes for own for a moment, throws the death mark onto Mac, but escapes, does manage to escape the traps from Caitlyn. Ace in the hole is thrown out, but Seraphine steals away the potential triple. Mojo Roma is still chasing this one to the base, and now it's the Nexus turrets are going to come under fire. Super minions already arriving in the base of UConn. Butler will close things out here, almost certainly, with all 5 members alive, attacking the Nexus turret. Son of One trying to find some kind of route, trying to find some kind of damage, but it's just not happening. Super Slayer being kept at bay as well. The Nexus will fall. Butler will claim their win. Butler will be in the playoffs alongside St. John's, alongside DePaul, and probably alongside Marquette as well as a result of this victory. It's the GG's over to Butler.
Oh my gosh, what a great way to end the season for both teams. UConn, they gave us a hell of a show. Butler showed us why they are the team to be looking out for in the playoffs. I think we've ended up the season with a really, really strong playoffs coming into this one. Of course, we'll be waiting for confirmation on those final results because our analysts haven't been fed today, as it turns out.
They really have been fed. They're just super, super greedy, aren't you, Thor? Thor? You Thor? Yeah. This one had to go on a diet because he did exactly what Avengers Endgame Thor did and turned into Big Fat Thor for a little while. Got his little belly all growing up. So he wasn't happy with me when he was not allowed as many pouches of food, but he's still happy to give us analysis. What did you think about the AD Nico? Not impressed.
I mean, confused, perturbed. I think we were all that. I mean, yeah, this is the closest thing we've got to a Butler Bulldog on stream right now. I imagine we'll be talking to another one of them in a few moments more to kind of celebrate coming through that game with the win there. Oh yes, in fact, we will be able to talk to what I think we could arguably said to be the man of the hour, Lunstorm themselves, the Eddie Carey, who's been pulling out these pretty amazing numbers across the season.
Well, I'm looking forward to having that chat with Lunstorm and to congratulate them firsthand on being able to make it to the playoffs. Going to take ourselves just a small break now, however, give ourselves an opportunity to calm down Loki, who is having a whale of a time in the other room, obviously not too happy about Thanos' death grip. We'll be back after a short break. Thank you for joining us one final time today. We've just seen the last game of the regular split before we head over to playoffs. And on the back of that victory, we have got Butler's ADC Lunstorm joining us. Thank you for joining us, Lunstorm.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations on your victory. They're cementing your place in the playoffs as we go towards the semi-finals next week. How are you and the rest of the team feeling right now?
We're feeling very good. I mean, it was a 2-0 week, so no sad faces over here for sure.
Were there any surprise faces, perhaps, going up against UConn's composition in that last game?
A little bit. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they had much to play for, so they just kind of forefund it. But we still had to win it to lock in third, I believe, because there would have been a three-way tie if we lost. So yeah, our game faces were on for that game for sure.
What do you make of the AD Nico then?
It's pretty garbo. Not gonna lie. Like that's just how it is.
Were you, I guess surprised would be the word, to see Almarex going with the role swap, and then obviously we saw Son of One coming in with that Nico that we talked about. Is this something you would in any way have prepared for?
We thought it was the Zinzao bot lane, Nico jungle, but it was not the case.
You're not alone there, actually. We contemplated that as well, didn't we, Counterfeit?
Yeah, I think it would have been way stronger if they took the Zinzao bot, just jump on us and kill us.
Interesting.
Pretty hard to play against, I think.
Yeah, I was kind of feeling that idea just because it felt like, when it came to standard League of Legends, that it wasn't going to go well for UConn there.
Yeah.
I mean, was there any moment in that game where you started to feel like maybe you could be in trouble?
Not really. I think we just had full control of the game from start to finish. So, no real worries throughout the game.
Well, congratulations on seeing things out. You have definitely moved into the playoffs now, having looked at the standings. We're going towards the semi-finals next week, the final in 3 weeks' time. Are there any teams that you particularly are wary of and maybe would not want to get drawn up against?
Well, both St. John's and DePaul have the number 1 and number 2 seeds, so there's no real way of avoiding a tough first round matchup either way. So we just have a lot of work to do to catch up to them, and then I'll hopefully take them down when the time comes.
So, from where you're standing, between St. John's and DePaul, what do you feel like are their biggest strengths that you guys are going to have to try and deal with?
To be honest, not really sure. I think both those teams are extremely beatable though, so just comes down to being the better team when it counts. Because we've been 2-0 by them throughout the regular season, but if we played either of those teams 10 times, I think we lose to them 9. But we have to make sure that it is that one game when we do play against them and make that happen.
Oh, wish you the best of luck when you come up against one of those two teams in the semi-finals next week. And yeah, Peter, you had a fantastic question, which I'm going to hand over to you for.
Oh yeah, well, I'm not sure if this is the question you're thinking of, but I was just going to ask, while we've got you here, Lunstorm, obviously, we've been generally very impressed by your performance across the season.
Thank you.
But looking back to it, are there any games from this regular season before we go into the playoffs that are standing out particularly clearly in your mind now that we've come to the end of the season?
I think definitely my favorite game was that first game against Seton Hall, where I went like 13-0 or something, and just hard carried that game. That was probably the most memorable for me. So it made a really strong debut performance, and I think that has definitely helped me carry the momentum throughout the rest of the season. So that
That's
game for sure.
really Really, really cool. Just before we bid you adieu from the interview desk, anything in particular, anyone you'd like to shout out, or anything of yours you'd like to plug for the upcoming time?
I'd like to shout out my family. They've been watching every game, I think, so the support
Oh,
means a lot. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's really, really cool. Well, from myself, Counterfeit, and also Hope, who's joined us on the interview desk, we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season as we head into playoffs. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Landstorm.
Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
Thank you. Well, we got to chat with the man of the hour there, the fantastic Landstorm. We've been joined by two of the three Greyhounds who, as has been correctly identified by our production, are very, very hungry and quite mad at me right now, apparently. But Counterfeit, how about you? Any real highlights of the regular season for you?
oh my gosh! I mean, we've just been. I think there's been a deluge of really fantastic games. So I think really stretched to to pick out particular ones. But I mean, looking back, I mean, with 18 rounds of play, I really feel like I would be doing a disservice. Honestly, I think I'm gonna have to take some time between now and the playoffs to really kind of go back and try and separate out some of my memories here because I think for us to end the season as it is, with two teams tied up at first place, with Butler doing very well and the Pirates coming in as well, I think we're really well set up for the playoffs. So I'll be paying particular attention to our four teams' games over the course of the season, particularly their games against each other, because they're going to be doing that. All of their support staff are going to be doing that one as well. As I said, particularly for Butler and the Pirates, the two underdog teams here, they're saying, it's winnable for them, but it's just going to be about getting the work done.
I look forward to those semi-finals next week. Make sure you tune in to catch the action of those, as it will be happening here at Official EGF and on our sister channel Big East as well. Looking forward to those. Very much so. Looking back for me, there was one game, and I apologize to the two teams involved because it has been, of all the games I've cast in the first 3 months of this year, the most exciting, one of the most incredible ends. I will, whenever I remember exactly who it was, post that up on my Twitter at some point because it was one incredibly phenomenal game. Almost every game's great here at Official EGF, but this one took the cake. And yeah, if you follow me on Greyheart99, and you'll see that posted up sometime soon. Also follow the fantastic Counterfeit Cast. Also follow everyone over at here from Official EGF. Keep an eye on how things are going on our social media, and do make sure to tune in for those semi-finals next week. Any final words from you, Counterfeit?
I don't know. It's been an amazing season so far. I think we're set up for an incredible playoffs as well. So I'm really excited to see what they've got from here. At this point, I do not know who's going to win. And that's a great place to be coming to playoffs.
Well, from me, Stanley Greyheart Barker, from Peter Counterfeit Hartnell, and from the Shoulder Pup Hope, I'm going to wish you good night. Thank you to all involved here at Official EGF and our terrific production. We'll see you next week.